the overpowering strength of Sonic the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog, otherwise known as the Blue Blur, the fastest man alive in his universe, a man who fights against machines to defend the planet against Dr. Eggman or Dr. Robotnik. He's a very charismatic character and makes jokes while he fights, just like Spider-Man. He's someone who cares for others more than himself and continues to strive for their protection. He has fought multiple enemies, from small robots that run over weak characters to complete gods that can destroy the entire Sonic cosmology. The evolution of the Blue Blur by every game makes him overpowered. Before I begin, I would appreciate if you guys like, comment, and subscribe for more anime, manga, and general fictional content. And with all that, I hope you all enjoy. I would also like to mention it will be every 2 days. Anyways, I hope you all enjoy. Sonic the Hedgehog was a series in which started with weaker feats and didn't have anything too crazy early on in the series. He had fought Badniks and embarrassed Eggman's creations. We didn't really get many feats at this time. The strongest thing we got from this game is in Sonic the Hedgehog 2, a golden form named Supersonic. We didn't really have any impressive feats with this form, but we knew that he has a higher evolution of power because of this game. Of course, what we know is that he can fly, and he can beat the maximum power of the Death Egghead Robo. But there was no real statements or feats to really put anything crazy with this game. Before I really go into crazy feats, I would like to talk about and explain the Sonic cosmology. The Sonic universe isn't just a universe. The size is not only infinite expanding, but there is an infinite amount of possibilities within each moment of the game. This is why it's different than the Dragon Ball universe, where it is infinite expanding, but the possibilities of each future is different. For example, for you to change the past, you have to make a time machine, and only specific actions can be changed, and everything will be changed because of that. In Sonic, any small movement that happens, it will be canon throughout the series. We learned this because of Sonic CD. You can stay in the present, travel to the past, or travel to the future. All possibilities are all canon. Of course, we know that the canon ending is him going to the past, saving the world from Eggman, and then going back to the present and saving Amy. Or should I say true ending, not really canon, because all of them are canon. Every single ending is canon. Eggman winning is canon. Sonic winning is canon. Eggman winning only in the future is canon. All of these possibilities are all canon because in Sonic CD, they've told us that each way of a story in this game are all true. Of course, with this main timeline, we can stay with the one where he goes to the past and saves the present. Of course, he saves the pink-haired hedgehog Amy Rose as well, which gave us another lovable character. But with all this, it explains that the Sonic cosmology is infinite expanding with infinite amount of possibilities. Every little movement that the Sonic games have is canon to the Sonic cosmology. A good example of this is the butterfly effect, where one small change can change the whole future. Even if the change isn't massive, for example, it could be that a tree gets planted a different direction because the butterfly was different in the past. Or it could be that the world completely is changed. Those two things matter at the same time. There's no real answer to any of these, it's just common beliefs or theories that people have crafted, and it does exist with the Sonic universe. So when we play the game, every little movement, for example, Sonic taking his time on the levels, or Sonic beating it really fast, they're both canon, just two different planes of time in the main story. I will be explaining why this is impressive later on, but I want you guys to keep this in the back of your heads. The games that added planetary levels of power was Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2. In Sonic Adventure 1, Sonic fought a god of destruction named Chaos. He flooded the world with water, and he has statements which have him at Planetary. Of course, there are some skeptical people that believe it's not really Planetary because he's done it before, but I'm just taking what the game has given us. But it does add up, especially with the game after this, Sonic Adventure 2. The final boss in this game is Final Hazard. He has multiple statements of him being Planetary. But even if he didn't, not only did they have to defeat the Final Hazard, they had to defeat the Death Egg. A giant machine that can not only destroy the planet, but it can smash through it without any problem. The fact Sonic and Shadow were able to stop this shows that there are at least planetary levels of power in the super form in early games, of course. Now, while they're not really crazy feats, the next game kind of gives these characters a strong boost. Power cliffing is when a series evolves past the arc prior in levels of strength. For example, in Wano, these characters evolve so much stronger than Dofi that he is a clown. Not just Dofi's, Dofi and Katakuri. I could explain that in a future video, just let me know. But because Luffy was one shot by Kaido in early Wano, and in that same Luffy evolved so much that his base became the levels of strength to fight that same Kaido in the rooftop, shows us that there's a level of power clipping that happened in that series. This happened in the Sonic series as well, with a game that people say is the worst game, but really it's not. Sonic Boom Rise of Lyrics is a lot worse, but it is a game that is very hated. Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, or how some fans call it, Sonic 06. A lot of people not only hate this game, but they hate the scaling of this game. Why? Because the game goes from planet level scaling to power cliffing that and becoming Hyperversal. How did they become Hyperversal? The villain of the game, Solaris, a super dimensional being that will suck in all the timelines. Remember, when I said earlier, the Sonic universe has an infinite amount of possibilities in a never-ending universe, the fact that Sonic, Shadow, and Silver defeated this opponent who lived in every timeline from the past, present, and future at the same time shows us that their super forms are Hyperversal at this time. Of course, a lot of fans complain that this feat never happens later on, which makes it hyperbolic. Like, there's no feat that's even close. Unfortunately for them, there are multiple statements in which puts them consistently at this level. The imaginary world, a world in which is described as the fourth dimension, which of course is weaker than a Hyperversal, this is just a multiversal level world, was defeated by a Sonic by himself. This level of scaling stays consistent because the Solaris scaling doesn't make it too far out. It would keep these characters around Hyperversal and Super. Of course, if you disagree with that, you can at least very minimal multiversal. But here's the thing, they get stronger. The next opponent we see that is multiversal to Hyperversal levels of scaling is the Time Eater. I would like to clarify that I haven't played the remake yet for Sonic Generations because I am receiving mine with the collector's edition. Unfortunately, it hasn't came here yet, so I'm kind of in a little bit of a pickle. So I won't be scaling anything new that happens there. If there is anything new, then I will let you all know in the comment section, or I'll just make a Shadow video that will explain everything, because it's more of a Shadow game than it is a Sonic game. Anyways, Time Eater is an opponent that was eating all of Sonic's timelines, making Sonic run through these timelines and bringing them back. Keep in mind, because the dimension that he was in had no time, this would make him at least have immeasurable levels of speed. Because not only was he able to move in this dimension, which is, that alone puts him at immeasurable, but the fact he was able to bring back life into it by running through it makes it even more impressive than it would be originally. Of course, the other feat that could be immeasurable is the Solaris fight, but because every character was able to move, I would rather disagree with that. I'll keep them at MFTO plus at that point. But this one, there's no really way you can argue against it. He has immeasurable speed because he was able to move in a dimension without time. Of course, some people may question, didn't he get caught in a black hole? Well, yes he did. But there's multiple reasons why this happened. The first is that Sonic is someone who doesn't like to try because he doesn't want to destroy the world by his speed. The next, most obvious answer is that he grew stronger from this game. Sonic Colors came right before Sonic Generations, so the scaling doesn't change much at all. And if we try to argue that Solaris is immeasurable and that he got caught here, which means he's slower than a black hole, unfortunately the Solaris fight was when he was in super form, while this fight is when he is in base form. So it doesn't really correlate between the two since we don't know the gap between supersonic and normal Sonic. But with all that being said, you can't really get rid of the fact that Sonic in base is immeasurable levels of speed. Sonic as a series does the same things that Dragon Ball does. Supersonic, Super Saiyan, 7 Dragon Balls, 7 Chaos Emeralds. And so it is not surprising that with every game is a higher level of scaling. The villain that gave us this statement directly was Infinite. Yes, the bum, Infinite. Why isn't it a point that Infinite is said to be stronger than every prior Sonic opponent? Well, Sonic beat Infinite in base. Of course, with the created character, or the created player, they fought together. But really, when we look back at it, Sonic was beating that dude alone in base. So all the scaling we went through earlier, that would mean base Sonic has that level of strength. This does make sense because in Sonic Generations we see a base Sonic beat Perfect Chaos, who needed Super Sonic to defeat in Sonic Adventure 2, which means he is evolving in power every single game. Now for Sonic Frontiers, there really isn't groundbreaking feats at all. No statements, no feats, no scaling, no nothing. We just get an explanation of the Chaos Emeralds and how they existed, which was cool. But they did give him an amp, where he fused the Chaos Emeralds with the Cyber Corruption. We don't know how much stronger he got from this, but it is interesting to note that he does have a power-up that is stronger than Supersonic. We just don't know how much stronger it is. Now, there aren't any good feats, so I'm not going to argue this game, but I didn't want to completely ignore it because some people will question, hey, what about Supersonic 2? I'm just going to leave it there because really we don't have any argument against it. With all that information, we've learned that Sonic is Hyperversal with immeasurable levels of speed. Of course, some people try to downplay him to multiversal only in Super, but the fact that he fought his past opponents in base shows us that his base surpasses his own Super. He continues to grow every single game. Of course, you can discuss this with me, and we can go back and forth if you disagree with me, but I doubt he's any weaker than what I just said. After all, you can get him higher depending on the way you contextualize the series. But at low ball, he is multiversal, or complex multiversal, I'm sorry. High ball, he is Hyperversal Plus. Both the immeasurable speed, because you can't really get rid of that. It's there, it's plain, you can't really change that. I would like to make mention, whatever Sonic is in that DC crossover thing, yeah, that dude is about to be like Outerversal. So do not be surprised if this gets outdated by that time that comic comes out, because that Sonic, that comic book Sonic that's in the DC universe, is gonna be stronger than this game Sonic. Because of course, DC makes everybody stronger. They always do. It's like when a Mortal Kombat character gets into Mortal Kombat, like a guest character, like Jason, where he's just Hyperversal or outer because he's able to fight with these characters. It's stupid, I get it, but Sonic is about to get a huge amp, and if you really want to debate Goon with it, yeah, you all should read it. Anyways, if you guys have any problem with it, please leave it in the comment section down below. And with all that, I hope you all enjoyed.